Overwatch esports is dying. With Owl being gone, underwhelming showings from most of its replacements, and a general declining player base of professional players, the future of competitive Overwatch is rocky. At least, until now. See, many years ago on a Plat Chat episode that I cannot for the life of me find, Bren's Player of the Week went to something a little interesting. It was a speedrun of Overwatch 1's practice range. Now, this by no means had a very large community, but it's something cool from the Overwatch scene that has stuck with me for all of these years. And as of the time of making this video, there are no current recorded runs for Overwatch 2, and I intend to change that. So join me as I break down the rules, the run, and the race for number 1. Well, really the race for the only one. Okay, so what do I actually mean by speedrunning the practice range? It's simple. With every single character, you must kill every single bot in the practice range. At least, those were the rules in Overwatch 1. See, the practice range has actually gotten a couple upgrades in that time that makes this run very interesting and challenging. There are a total of 12 bots that have to be killed. These 2 by the front, these 4 that patrol to the right, 1 over by the edge, the 2 shooting the friendly bots, the tank bot with the shield, the sniper bot tucked away on this high ground, and this bot stranded on the moving platform. According to the rules, the hero bot does not count in this run. Some other important things to note: the final blow must come from the player, with the exception of the tank bot, who has this little guy shooting him the whole time. For that one, you just need to be a part of the kill credit. You also do not need to 100 to 0 every single bot. You can actually pre-damage them with the exception of the first hero. That is because the run actually starts when you lock in the first hero, not when you load into the practice range. It's also important to note that you need to reset the practice range between every single run. Pre-damaging will help out a lot of those lower DPS and limited range characters. Some things to note for specifically my runs: the rules about ult usage are somewhat complicated, and in order not to risk my run becoming invalid, I will not be using them. I also will not be doing the characters in order. I will be hopping around depending on spawn locations and other limiting factors, but I will be keeping track of who I've used via live split. With the rules out of the way, let's talk strategy and roadblocks. Remember that the training range got a new makeover and some fresh bots a little bit ago? Well, these guys make this run very interesting. Starting with the exceptions man himself, the tank bot is a difficult enemy as the shield and larger health pool make it hard for some characters to kill him. But figuring out HP thresholds to keep him at between characters is made very difficult by the bot constantly shooting him. Remember, each character must get the kill credit, so if he dies before I can get to him, I have to take him down from full. This is not great for certain characters. Next is this sniper bot, who is in a very inaccessible location for most of the cast. There is one spot on the ground where you can see it, but otherwise it's out of the way from the main routes. There is a better angle if you can get up these stairs, but it is still very far away and it would take some characters ages to kill them from that distance. Also, this moving bot has a predictable pattern, but trying to keep track of it between heroes is hard, and the route we take will attempt to minimize having to wait for it or shoot it at inopportune times. Finally, don't forget about the firing range, where you can legally swap heroes in this run. I will also be killing myself. Wait, that can't be right. Oh, I will also be killing myself sometimes to get to the spawn room faster. Okay, thank God, Jesus. These are both legal strategies and will help me swap less mobile characters faster. Now, I'm not going to play an entire unedited VOD that will certainly be much longer than you want to watch. I will play you certain parts during my winning run that showcase some of the strats that I came up with that I thought were cool. You can watch the full run over on my VODs channel if that interests you. Now, you may have remembered that earlier I claimed that no one had ever done this run before, and that is still true. Also, editing lane here, you may realize that there are no runs found for the practice range normal. However, if you do click over here, you will see that all heroes before Venture has been done before, and definitely done before for the heroes before Mauga, and so on and so forth. So technically this run has been done, but not this actual route with Venture in it. So it is still valid to call it the world's first run. Okay, thank you, bye-bye. But there is actually another category for the practice range where you play with a duo, and that has actually had one single run by these two people, and it was submitted 7 days ago at the time of writing. And one of these people has been submitting runs for a lot of speedruns very, very recently. What am I going to do if they do a run and I can no longer clickbait that I was the first person ever to finish this run? And so, the speedrun arms race began as I put together my route and planned the stream for August 1st, 2024, ready to beat the titan that is Mr. Mrujnshr. Mrujnshr? This guy. I practiced it off stream once just to get some of the muscle memory down for live splits and menuing, and then it was off to the races. The best way I can describe the overall structure of this run is ping-ponging back and forth between the spawn room and the firing range. Remember when I said I could pre-damage bots to make it easier for certain characters? Well, I ended up putting many characters in pairs based on how effective they were at setting up some of those characters that would struggle. Characters that would set up another would start in the regular spawn, go through the course as normal, then go back through the opposite way and swap characters in the regular spawn again. Then the next character that needed the help would go through as normal and swap characters in the firing range. Finally, a third character would exist outside of that pairing and would run the course as normal and end in the regular spawn. This created a nice rhythm so I didn't have to memorize too many things and provided a nice backbone to changing the order of the run, which I ended up doing between some of them. The beginning of the run shows this off nicely with Kiriko, Ana, and Lifeweaver. Kiri has high range and mobility and gets through just fine. When she is done, she goes back through and does one headshot and one body shot to each bot. This puts them in kill range to either one Ana shot or Bionade. Her time to kill from full is very low, so reducing that is key. And then Lifeweaver doesn't have too many strengths or obvious breakpoints to help other characters, but not enough weaknesses to require helping himself that he can just run the course alone. There are 12 of these little groups of 3 and 2 groups of only the first 2 types to round out the 40 characters in the roster. Not all of these are to make up for poor damage though, some of them are to help with bad range and mobility. Take this pairing of Orisa and Brig. Orisa has great damage at range and decent mobility on the ground. 7 headshots puts each bot into a 1 flail kill range for Brig. This means that Brig only has to run by each bot once to get the kill credit and use the flail for the harder ones to reach. This run has Brig bash up to the high ground to hit the sniper bot and the platform bot, but I can see a version of this run where you set it up to where the rotating bot is passing by spawn at the beginning, so you can hit it with the flail and then the sniper with the flail later when the cooldown comes back and never have to go up there. There are also a couple characters that you might think need to be paired up, but with proper timing really don't need a buddy. Brian, for instance, doesn't have great range, but proper fire strike management will allow him not to have to waste any time for the harder to reach bots. I personally need to remember to hit this bot earlier to get the cooldowns back faster so I don't have to wait around later in the run. I also won't use everything in certain characters' kits as to make sure my run is valid. I opted to avoid Torb Turret as I didn't want to confuse myself with how many extra bots might get killed. There is definitely some optimization I am leaving on the table doing this, but I need to alleviate the mental stack as much as possible because this is my first ever speedrun. So after doing 39 characters, Junkrat ended up as the last character in the run, and on my last run of the day, I was able to secure a sub 30-minute run. After that, I submitted my run, and all I could do was wait for it to get approved. But that is not the end of the story. See, I went back over to watch the run, and I noticed something. Now, when it's time for me to play Soj, one of the strats I use is to disruptor shot these 2 bots because it does over 200 damage. No problems there, right? Well, not with Sojourn. But there's another character I do a similar strat on, Ramatra. I use Ravenous Vortex to get damage on these same bots while I chunk down the tank bot and then turn back for them. But on this run, I muscle memoried like I was a Sojourn using Grenade and walked right past them without killing them, rendering this run invalid. In fact, you can see on my next character, Genji, that these bots are already pre-damaged and I didn't understand why. It's because I made a huge mistake. And since I was content with this live on stream, I got off Overwatch and finished out the stream with playing Pokemon, leaving that sub 30 goal behind. I did submit my first finished run to speedrun.com while I was still live, however, and I did check and it should be valid. That time ended up being 31:11. And unfortunately, it was on a much less optimized route with a lot more mistakes too. Okay, so it turns out that run also wasn't valid because on Zarya I only killed one of the tank bots, confusing the one that I killed for the one that the bot kills, so that one doesn't work either. Luckily, I did a third run in between those two, and I went back through and I counted every single bot for every single character, and it should, fingers crossed, actually be the world record. But with that, I have become the first ever person to beat this speedrun, but I don't want to be the last. That's where you guys come in. This is a call to arms to beat the daylights out of my time. I may be the first, but I am certainly not the best. This was my first ever custom route and my first ever real speedrun, and it was really fun, but as you can tell, pretty unpracticed. Also, don't just run this category. There are plenty more that are being run by a couple of very dedicated players who frankly would probably love some real competition. Also, don't forget that Juno is just around the corner and somebody else is going to have to take the mantle of the first person to beat this run with her in it. I hope that my shitty run has disgusted someone enough that they took it as a personal attack and need to correct my awful display of incompetence. If that is you, I cannot wait to steal your run's route later in the future. If any of this interests you, I just recently launched a speedrunning category in my Discord in case you want to have a place to not only discuss Overwatch runs, but any other kinds of runs in general. The link is in the description below. And of course, please do any of that good YouTube stuff, like, comment, and subscribe. It does really help me out, and I've been appreciating a lot of the support and feedback recently. This was also streamed live on my Twitch, which you can find in the description. I am live every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturdays talking Overwatch and playing lots of classic video games voted on by my Twitch chat. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Have a good day.